Hello and welcome to another video here on the official MTG Arena channel. Today I'm checking out Alchemy, which is a format that I'm not used to. So going over all the cards that are available in Alchemy that you can play in Standard. The Chorus cards quickly caught my attention as potentially being incredibly powerful. So that's what I'm going to try to build around today. And of course, because we have a new Alchemy set with Aetherdrift, I'm also including the Spectacle of Destruction, a 2-mana enchantment saying whenever one or more creatures die, put a wreck counter on this enchantment, and then at the beginning of our upkeep, if this enchantment has one or more wreck counters on it, we can remove one and seek a non-land card. So a nice source of card advantage in this very controlling deck. In fact, we're a creatureless deck. Our win condition is to eventually drain the opponent to death with Monument to Endurance, something I've already tried in Standard successfully, especially great alongside an Artist's Talent, since this gives you a lot of ways to discard cards from your hand whenever you cast a non-creature spell, and we can also level up our Artist's Talent to give all non-creature spells a 1-mana discount, so then it becomes trivial to string together enough spells while discarding and drawing, making treasure tokens, drawing even more cards, and eventually making the opponent lose 3 life. We can also copy our Monument with 3 steps ahead, as it can copy artifacts we control, and this of course also a very flexible counterspell that can also draw 2 and discard on top of that. But the real star of the show is the various Chorus cards, and in red there's a 1-mana instant that initially deals 2 damage to a creature or planeswalker. Seems fair enough, but now all Chorus cards we own intensify by 1. So now the next Shanty deals 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker, a nice little upgrade, but more importantly, the other Chorus cards in our deck also get better, like Hymn to the Ages, which initially is just 2 mana to draw 1 card at instant speed, not too impressive, but if we can draw 2 cards with it, it's already a pretty nice rate, and it's only going to keep getting better from there. And then we also have a very powerful board wipe, which makes each player sacrifice X creatures, and we gain X life, where X is this spell's intensity, starts out with 2, and of course all Chorus cards can also make it better, so this can turn into a one-sided board wipe that also gains us additional life. And to make sure we can keep recycling more Chorus cards once we cast them, we're also playing 2 copies of the Archival Whirl, which can potentially gift the opponent a Rhystic Study. That way we're the only ones that get to shuffle our hands and graveyard back into our library and draw a fresh 7. Otherwise the opponent gets to do so as well, but that's also totally fine. And then because we have 2 copies of the Archival Whirl, we can essentially keep looping them over and over, so we never run out of cards in library, and so we can keep intensifying our various Chorus cards more and more, and then at some point we'll get enough Monuments in play, especially if we can also copy them with our 3 steps ahead. But we can definitely play some very long and grindy games if necessary. And then rounding things out, we also have a Bitter Triumph, also has good synergy with our Monuments, as we can maybe discard a card to trigger it and can deal with creatures or planeswalkers. Into the Floodmaw is a flexible bounce spell. And then we also have Ill-Timed Explosion as another board wipe that can also discard 2 cards, another great way to synergize with our Monument to Endurance. And then the mana base also gets to play with Captivating Crossroads, which will be untapped if you were on the draw, and starting with your 4th lands basically will also be untapped, choosing a color and then producing that color from now on. And then we also have a nice mix of the Surveil lands and Verge lands, so that the Verge lands can also consistently produce both colors, and then a couple basics in case we need to search them up. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play. We have a decent opening hand, a little heavy on the tapped lands perhaps, so that's our one problem, but I'll keep. Can get blue-red in play to cast both of our 2-drops. I'm kind of tempted to keep another Ballad. Yeah, might be a little clunky. We do still need to draw our 4th land as well, but can keep the Crossroads, which I guess will also be tapped since we were on the play, but I guess next turn it will be untapped. Okay, opponent's not doing much. I'll keep the Verge, play a Talent. Next turn we can also potentially level it up to discount our non-creature spells by 1. And a Trailblazer from our opponents. Makes a mana. And a Pick Your Poison, that's too bad, it blows up our enchantment. So And now what? Can just cast a Hymn Find 3 steps ahead. So Crossroads can name blue. Now Spinner of Souls will help protect against removal. Although we do have quite a bit of it here. So each player sacrifices 3 creatures. The next one is 4 creatures. And now a Fountain Port Charmer. Can discount their spells. And now a 2-mana Trailblazer into another one. Alright, so our opponent's casting a lot of spells on cheap. Can still ballad here. And then opponent's gonna get to keep 1 creature in play. Yeah, I guess our opponent also cast a Charmer with Offspring, so they get a 2-mana discount on everything. They keep a Trailblazer, and next turn we can maybe shuffle some stuff back. Another Charmer. Once again with Offspring. And a Spinner. Alright, opponent's seeing a lot of cards. So it might be time to whirl. And then we can still keep up 2 mana. And do we gift them a Rhystic Study? Opponent already has 4 cards in hand, so I think we're fine to just cast it normally. Okay. And then Shanty could take care of the Spinner. Or we could go for Trailblazer if we think that's the bigger threat. Close call. I'll go with the Spinner for now. Don't want to play Talent when we know about Pick Your Poison. Now, all the cards we destroyed earlier still have that perpetual discount. So in a sense, shuffling them back is not doing us any favors. But our Chorus cards also keep getting better. See the Illuminator recently reduced from 3 mana to 2 mana. And a 3rd Trailblazer. Well, there's still only 4 in the whole deck. So we need to find answers. One of our sweepers here would be great. And this one will certainly do. So that will just wipe the opponent's entire board. And then I probably want to keep up 3 steps ahead. So that was a lucky top deck. I'll let the Charmer resolve. I'll counter more Trailblazers or perhaps another Spinner. Although at this point we can also keep 3 steps ahead to copy the Monuments. But yeah, I'll fight over the Spinner. And our opponent scoops it up. I'll take it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a fine hand. Just need to find black mana eventually. So we can Surveil, keep Verge on top. So our colors are taken care of. Opponent black-white, maybe some sort of bad life gain deck. We'll have to wait and see. And get our colors online. And yep, Essence Channeler, I'm fine to take out with a Shanty. Find our Monument, perfect. That also sets up our ill-timed explosion. Alright, Rankle, Pitiless, Trickster, 1-3, Lifelink, Flying Haste. They can pay a life, which they didn't. And whenever a player discards a card, a Rankle grows. Alright, so could just Shanty to get rid of it for now. Do we get punished if we discard otherwise? Could also just draw 2 with the explosion for now. Yeah, that seems fine. And then next turn we can maybe use our Ballad to wipe the board. There's Zorlin, that's fine. So yeah, Ballad looks good. Surveil. And keep another board wipe. So this can now draw 3, but probably want to play Shanty first. Yeah, these Chorus cards are pretty mean. It's gonna be a Banisher. Exiling our Monument, sadly. But I guess we'll get another one back. So, for now, Shanty. Find another Monument, we can play it, keep up another Shanty. If they keep playing Banishers, we'll have to be a little bit more careful with deploying the Monument until we're ready to drain the opponent. Because it does get exiled, so I won't be able to shuffle it back with the Whirl. For now, a Sidekick into a Lunar Convocation. Alright, so probably fine to still Shanty the Sidekick. And then him draws 5 for 2 mana. How about another one? Alright, so play this one. And keep Artist's Talent. So I'm glad we have the Whirls, because decking is going to be a concern with all these hymns. Can fire one off end of turn, so we didn't have to discard to hand size. Although discarding to hand size with Monument can actually be some sort of advantage. Alright, opponent does have another Banisher. So that happens. Alright, so I want to play Artist's Talents and start leveling it up. So let's say we keep up red mana. Then I can play another Talents. Discard. Let's see here. Spectacle might be okay still. Can actually cast it right now. So maybe I don't need another hymn. And then play the Spectacle. Pass a turn. Discarding some tap lanes. I do like the 3 steps ahead. Can always discard one Whirl and then shuffle it back with the other, but that's a problem if our opponent has maybe a way to discard cards from our hand. So maybe I can ditch the Explosion now, since we have Ballads aplenty. And then discard 2 more cards. A land can go, and maybe 1 Ballad can go as well, since we're probably close to shuffling our graveyard back. Aklazot's not a huge concern. Okay, so I want to level up my other talents. Play this for 1 mana. Opponent's bad tokens are gonna get sacrificed in a second, so I don't really mind. Okay, and then now cast a Ballad. Can still keep discarding here, triggering Monument in the process. And for now we'll just go for Treasure. And maybe ill-timed Explosion now too. And drain for 3. And get our first direct counter on the Spectacle. Can still cast another Monument and keep up 3 steps ahead. Okay. So we're looking good. And then next turn we would like to copy the Monuments. And then we can maybe whirl. Another Zorlin is acceptable. Opponent is going for Banisher again, maybe trying to get rid of our Monument once again as well. So then I will be down to just 1 Monument. So maybe I should have countered here. Opponent's still going for the Spectacle instead. If that works, cannot bounce it with into the Floodmaw. So now if Banisher gets removed, we'll find another Artist's Talent, basically. Alright, so end of turn can cast him, triggering Talents a bunch. I'm just going for maximum mana. And then now we can drain for 6. Ten cards remain. So we should be able to close it out pretty easily. Create a copy of Monuments. Can maybe wait until we get our extra Monuments. Can do it again. And then now we can drain for 9 life. But we could easily keep going with the whirl. So we were definitely prepared to play a longer game if needed. And there we have it, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a reasonable hand that's just missing black mana. I'll still try it. We get to Surveil. Good Shanty to make sure we don't get run over. Gonna have to say no to Floodmaw. Facing red-green. A land is great. And Island still lets me cast an Explosion at the very least, so I'll accept. And Cindermaw is next. Players cannot gain life, 2 damage, not enough to take care of it. So I could try to play Monuments to set up Explosion, and then at the very least we can deal 4 to everything. So our opponent might be on a Dinosaur deck. The Ridgeline also potentially a problem later. Alright, found our black mana. So we could Explosion, but now we could also end of turn just copy the Monument. And then I'll keep another Explosion. If they play something that we have to counter, we can. But I also like the sequence of copy Monument and then Explosion. Could be bad if they have artifact removal at instant speed. Alright, so now I have to go for it since we're getting pretty low on life. And I want to keep the 2 Shanties. So maybe I can discard a land and then Explosion. Even though Explosion can trigger the Monument some more. And then we can draw and make treasures, so we can keep up the shanties. Opponent's got a Smuggler Surprise in response, fair enough. So that's going to protect their Cindermaw. And find the Voltborn Tyrants. Alright, so now we pass with interaction available. They're 1 mana short of casting the Voltborn, but another surprise could maybe sneak it in. Gonna have to read the Spear Tail, so not the best to deal damage to. Okay. That works. So I guess I'll take another 4. Or we could double Shanty the Cindermaw. Into the Floodmaw is going to be the more elegant solution for the Spear Tail. Sure. And then now the Ballad is looking a lot better too. Opponent now has a Paw Patch to draw, make a food, that's fine. So we'll take our turn. And then now we could Spectacle. Again, if we deal damage to this, all their dinosaurs get bigger, which is something we want to avoid. So I could still go Spectacle into Ballad. And then at least next turn the Spectacle will find us an extra card. So they might just cast a Voltborn. Ooh, nice. Found our Hymn and an Artist's Talent. So I could play Talents, and then I guess if I level up, I can't do anything else. So it might just be Talent, a level up, pass. And then what's the worst that can happen? I guess Smuggler Surprise could get us out of nowhere. I think I still try it. Could have also cast him to try and hit our lane drop. Alright, Fungus can get rid of enchantments, ×2. So, are they just going for monuments? Now they might be tempted to remove our Spectacle. Alright, Spectacle down. So the Talent survives. And then now we can kick things off with him. Pretty happy with all of my cards, but we'll get to trigger Monument here. And we'll probably find more lands. So now, still going for treasure first, I think. Okay. So we can play another Talent. So we haven't discarded Whirl yet, so can maybe get rid of this one. And then level up Talents. Cast a 1 mana Monument. And we can keep cycling through the deck, don't need a third Talent. And if I cast another one, we'll get to make a replacement treasure at least. Happy to keep 3 steps ahead. So now we're maybe at a point where we get rid of Into the Floodmaw, keep Shanty. Okay, and then if I him now, I still get to trigger Monument, but could also do it in the opponent's turn. Alright, so don't mind my spot. Opponent sacks the food. They try to paw patch a talent. In response, we can hymn. Discard Theater. And then first want to make treasures. Could draw some more cards. So I'm a mana short of 3 steps ahead, counter and make a copy. And then now I can probably let it go. Opponent animates the ridgeline. We'll attempt to take it out with Shanty. Monuments will drain for 9 damage total. Destroying the Voltborn gets pretty messy since I'll get an extra artifact version of it. So I prefer avoiding that situation. Fall to 4, but we're about to gain a ton of life here. So take my turn. 15 cards remain. So let's see, could maybe play this on black. Opponent's at 14. Can we win here? We need to copy Monument a few times. So playing another talent first might be worth it. 15 cards remain. Level up. 3 steps ahead, copies Monuments. Drain our opponents. And then 12 cards remain. Could of course still cast a Ballad here, or play Monument first. I'll maybe decline. And then yeah, casting any additional spell triggers the 2 remaining Monuments for 6 more damage, or we could cast an instant in the opponent's turn and get our opponent for close to 20 damage in one shot. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. This hand's quite poor. Double whirl, no blue mana. This is better. So, could get rid of 1 tapped land, and then this probably makes sense. Probably don't need another 3 steps ahead. Looking for Chorus cards, Monuments. Facing red-white, is it aggro? Opponent with a Meadow Guard, so a mouse deck. Alright, Shanty, not a bad answer. So we'll start there. Discard maybe a land at this point. And then I can play a tapped land for turn, keep up Floodmaw. And look for more Chorus cards. Another Meadow Guard. Alright. So they have double Mind of the Meek in hand. Ballad's great. So I'll level up the talents, keep up Floodmaw. Wait for the opponent to maybe commit some more creatures. And our opponent's going to cycle a Might of the Meek. We could bounce. I think I'm okay letting that resolve. Keep Floodmaw for something more problematic. If they try and cast a Sheltered by Ghosts, for instance, we could also Floodmaw response. Although we might have to watch out for the protection spell. Alright, Manifold Mouse is perfect. Means we get to wipe the board with Ballad. And another shanty is great too. Don't think I'll need my 3 steps ahead. Just want to keep drawing more chorus cards. At some point we'll find our blue one to fill our hand back up. And I don't want to be the first one to make a move here. Alright, so they could still have a protection spell in hand, but let's find out. And then Floodmaw can maybe go now. That works, so they still get the Valiant trigger, which reveals Swordmaster. Okay, and then Spectacle's great too. Probably fine to ditch the Whirl, although we are close to empty-handed, so Whirl could be a nice way to refresh. So maybe I just decline, take a beating next turn, cast Ballad, and then Whirl to refresh. Or we can just keep digging through the deck and try and find the Chorus, and that should take care of things. Could play another Talent. I think I'll wait a turn. So I have something to potentially discard to it. Another Manifold is fine. So now we're more incentivized to Ballad. Which will also get our Spectacle going. Opponent does cast Might of the Meek. So, yeah, I could still cast a Talent first. Also don't mind hitting my land drops. But I'll play another Talent. And then for now I'm still digging towards the blue Chorus. If we end up with a land in hand, that's fine too. And then next turn we'll find an extra non-land card at least. And Mabel's next. The equipment could be pretty scary, as all creatures will have haste. Find monuments, and 3 steps ahead. So I can level up the second Talent, play Monument for 1 mana, and then still have 3 steps, but it's not going to be able to counter anything since that's double blue. So we have to be a little careful here. But yeah, for now, I guess we could just Monument discard 3 steps ahead, and hope to find more interaction. Alright, there we go. That's what we needed. So we'll him. And then I could Ballad again, or Explosion. So now Ballad is probably the safest play, because if I Explosion I need to discard a 4 mana card to make sure we answer Mabel. Go for Treasure. Draw a card. Get another wreck counter. Could play Talon now or play it next turn. Once our Monument can trigger again, since I'm not too interested in making my opponent lose 3 right now. Alright, so we're in control. The second Whirl we do need to make sure we actually keep, so we can shuffle our graveyard back. Also, if we decide to shuffle the opponent's graveyard, they'll have lots of copies of Might of the Meek, more than your standard 4 copies. Another him. Alright. So, step 1 might be level up Talent once again. Can now him. Make more treasure. Alrighty, and then 15 cards remain. Might be time to play a couple more monuments out. Let's wait to discard until we get them all in play. But yeah, our opponent has seen enough. we can pretty much draw our whole deck, whirl to shuffle it back, and then opponent's not going to have much left. Alright, so we got to see this Grixis Chorus deck in action. It's a little bit light on new cards from Aetherdrift, admittedly, but Monument, of course, still from the base set, doing a lot of work in closing out games. And then the Destruction Enchantment also proved to be pretty useful in a deck that's very good at taking out creatures. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.